Church, which is a prime example of Byzantine Orthodox Christian architecture, the idea that the church building is part and parcel to the worship experience is essential. The first thing you'll notice is the dome, the large dome in the center, which is the Byzantine dome. This church, you have to think about it as a circular, as a church that embraces you as you come in. It's not a church that you walk into and go from point A to B. Even on its exterior expression, it's welcoming. Her arms are open to you to invite you in. The Orthodox Church is the Christian Church of the East. It's a unique apostolic church which dates back to the time of the apostles in Jerusalem at the time of Pentecost, and definitely took its form and structure in the early centuries of Christendom. As we come into the church, the believer is called to pray. And anything that helps us to pray, that is what helps our soul. And the art, the architecture, the whole experience of being in sacred space is what takes us to the next level by the grace of the Holy Spirit. So all of these are vehicles, they're tools to bring us into a greater mode of prayer, a deeper mode of prayer, and ultimately communion with God. The role of the icon is a window to the transcendent. At one moment, it's not a portrait, it's rather a vehicle to who God is and his relationship to us. A Byzantine icon is two-dimensional, it's not three-dimensional. Unlike Western art forms or other art forms in the world, it's two-dimensional, it's flat. It has an otherworldliness to it. It takes on, in its tone, in its color scheme, in its approach, something that is not of this world. So it is very much not just a form of art, but rather a window to the soul. This church, I should say iconographically, was done by the great master Fotios Kontoglou, who reintroduced Byzantine iconography, basically single-handedly, in Greece and the rest of the Balkans during the last century. The most intriguing icon, personally, that I see in this church is the great treasures that exist in this church, is the icon of Christ, the bridegroom. And in it, Christ is the suffering servant. He's the man of sorrow. He is the Christ who is going to the cross, and it's of his passion. And this icon, yet ironically, is called Christ the bridegroom, because he's going to his marriage to whom? His bride, the church. In an Orthodox church, we deal with the five senses, whether it's from the incense, the smell, whether it's from the touch, the touching of an icon, the kissing of an icon, whether it's from the making of the sign of the cross, the feel, whether it's from the sight of the visual beauty, whether it's from the hearing of the music, the chanting, the Byzantine chant, or the choral music that is indicative of Eastern Christendom. The Byzantine Church involves all five senses, let alone the taste of the Eucharist and of bread and wine. Traditionally, in an Orthodox church, you have three parts. First is the narthex that one first comes into contact with when they enter the front door of a church. And what one does there, it's like an antechamber where one lights a candle, venerates an icon, says a private prayer, private devotion, a clearinghouse, if you will, before coming into the sanctuary. And of course, as we see here, this is the sanctuary underneath a dome, which is very Byzantine. That's the structure that it encompasses, is symbolic of the kingdom of heaven. And the third area is the altar area. This is the Holy of Holies. This is separated from the sanctuary through the auspices of an icon screen. In the altar area, only the ordained people, the three orders of clergy, bishops, priests and deacons may enter, as well as the altar servers. But as a rule, even those people can't enter if they don't have a particular purpose. You just don't stroll into the altar area because it's sacred space. In the Eastern Church, we celebrate mysticism. It's Christian mysticism. It would be fair to say that we celebrate the unexplainable, but in Orthodox theology, we even go a step further. We come up with apophatic theology in that we spend most of the time saying what we don't believe. God is not falsehood. God is not despair. In Western Christendom, it's more logical in that it's telling you what God is or trying to describe what God is. In Eastern Christianity, we're more roundabout in saying most of the time what God isn't, because God is beyond our understanding anyway.